Hello everyone. Today we are drawing baby Blue from Rio and I'll be showing you how I create his soft fluffy feathers using color pencils. And this beautiful bird isn't just a movie character. Blue is based on a real blue macaw, a bird that is native to Brazil. And this is what these incredible birds look like in the real world. So let's start with a basic drawing. The first thing I want you to do is observe the shapes instead of immediately trying to draw the bird exactly as you see it. Start with a simple circle for the head, then look at where the eye is and mark another small circle there. Let me just attach the reference here so you all can see better. Yes. Now as you continue, try to find the basic shapes hidden inside the drawing. You'll see circles, triangles, rectangles and a few simple curved shapes. Once you can identify these shapes, drawing something complicated becomes much easier. You don't have to worry about making it perfect in the beginning. We can always correct and refine it later. Now to be able to correct it and refine it later, I want you to draw very lightly using your pencil. No pressure on your pencil, just very light lines. Now while we are doing this, let's talk a little bit about the character we are drawing. If you've watched Rio, you probably already know Blue. He's a beautiful blue macaw who is taken away from the wild when he was just a baby. He grows up in captivity and because he has never really had the chance to live like a wild bird, he does not even know how to fly. And that is one of the saddest things about his story for me. We often look at beautiful animals and immediately want to get closer to them. We take photos of them, we see them in zoos, but sometimes we forget that these are wild animals. They're supposed to have their own space, their own environment, and freedom to fly, run, climb trees, and live without people gawking at them all the time. It makes me really sad to see beautiful wild animals being kept in captivity just so that strangers can stand around, take pictures, and look at them. And that is one of the reasons I really like that Rio tells this story through Blue. It makes you think about what an animal actually loses when it is taken away from its natural home. And honestly, this is also why I don't really like visiting zoos. I just find it sad to see wild animals living in cages when they are meant to live in the forest. But I'm really happy that I get to teach a bunch of students who are so much more empathetic towards animals. I've seen you all make sure you don't even hurt a tiny caterpillar in class. You carefully remove it with a paper or a leaf and put it somewhere safe. And if you already cared this much about the tiniest little creatures, I'm pretty sure your generation will find better ways to learn about and admire animals without having to keep them captive in zoos. Now coming back to our drawing, let's start working with slightly more complex shapes. Now that we are done with all the basic shapes, we start giving the actual details into the picture. Add some wings, the stomach, the feathers on the head. Adding more details with a pencil makes it really easier to color it. The claws. Now before we start coloring Blue, we are going to take our eraser and lightly erase all the pencil outlines. We don't want it to be too dark. And before showing you the fur technique, I want you to see this really important technique called dark to light shading. So you take one color pencil and start by pressing it a little harder on the side, not too hard. Then you slowly reduce the pressure as you move across. You want to go from a dark shade to a medium shade and finally to a very light shade. The important thing here is that you're not changing the pencil, you're changing the pressure. Try practicing this with 5 or 10 different color pencils that you already have. You don't need a huge collection of colors to make a drawing look this way. Learning how to control the pencils that you already have is much more useful. And don't worry if you don't get this dark to light shading perfectly in one go. Just practice it in your rough book every day, and even if you practice it 10 or 15 times, your hand will slowly learn how much pressure to use and how to get that smooth transition. Now let's try color mixing. So for blue we are going to use the shades of blue. So I'm going from dark to light with my darkest color, that is dark blue. Like this. And then I'll take my sky blue and layer it over this. You can even go over it once again with the lightest blue to blend it. This is what it looks like. Now let's practice the actual fur technique. I'm going to draw a small box here just so we can see what we are doing. I'll start with a light blue and make very soft back and forth strokes. And remember that they should not be in one line. Don't press too hard and let the pencil move lightly across the paper. And notice that I'm not trying to make a perfect outline around the box. The strokes can actually go outside the edges to make it more natural. That's really important when you're trying to create something fluffy. If every single feather stops at exactly the same point, it is going to look like a solid shape that has been cut out. We do not want it to look like an outline. Real feathers don't look like that. Some are shorter and some are longer, some stick out slightly. You can also go ahead and layer it a little bit. Try to give them softer edges so that it is easier for the other layers to blend in. Now I'm taking my dark blue and I'm going to layer my light blue with some more strokes over it. Again, try not to fill everything with dark blue. The lighter color should be visible underneath. And this is how we are going to build layers in blue's feathers. Moving on to the eyes, blue has this beautiful yellow eyes. So I'm going to start with yellow as my base. And then you take a little bit of brown and start shading from dark to light. I want the color to be deeper around certain areas and lighter towards the center. Make sure you leave that tiny little white reflection in the eye for it to look more realistic. Now I can start adding black to the darkest part of the eye. And this brings me to something really important about using black with color pencils. Most artists do not use black at all. We try mixing different colors like dark brown and dark blue and try to make a shade of black instead. And you should also try not to use black directly everywhere just because you need something to look dark. When you put black straight onto the paper, especially over a lighter color, it can simply make the whole area look dull and grey. But when you mix black with blue, you get a much richer dark blue. And if you mix black with brown, you get a completely different kind of black. So instead of thinking I need a black color, so I'm going to use my black pencil, start thinking about what kind of dark you actually need. Now coming to the body, before adding all of our darker details, I want to make the fur, or in this case the soft feather texture, even lighter and softer. So I'm going to take my lightest blue and start with a very gentle layer. I'm going to lighten the drawing even more. So the strokes are going to go back and forth, but always in the direction in which the feathers are growing. The direction is really important. If you randomly move your pencil in every direction, the texture is going to look messy, and we don't want that. But when your strokes follow the shape and direction of the animal, the drawing immediately starts looking more 3D. So I'm going to cover the whole area with this light blue first. And don't worry if there are tiny white spaces left behind. We can fill those gradually, or it might even make your drawing look better. Now I'll take my darker blue. If you have a medium blue, you can use that first and then slowly move towards your darker blue. I'm going to start building up the color by layering it over what we already have. And this is where I really want you to remember something about color pencils. Color pencils work best in layers. You might be tempted to press it really hard because you want the color to become dark quickly. But if you do that from the beginning, you're going to lose texture of the paper. Your paper is going to be damaged and it becomes much harder to add more color afterwards. Instead, keep your pressure lighter and build the color slowly, layer by layer, little by little. First one layer and then another layer of medium blue and then another layer of darker blue. So you will observe that when you do this, each layer makes the color richer without making the drawing look heavy. Richer in the sense more bright and more lively. You can already see how much more volume the bird starts getting just by adding these darker areas. Now when we come to the wings, I'm going to change the way I make my strokes a little bit. The body has soft fluffy texture, so we were using very small soft strokes, but wings are made up of larger feathers. So instead of making tiny fur-like strokes everywhere, we can use longer strokes that follow the direction of the feathers. You can think about the shape of each feather rather than simply trying to color the wing blue. There is dark to light shading even in the wings. So this is something that makes a big difference in animal drawings. Different parts of the animal don't necessarily need the exact same technique. You have different techniques for different parts. You have to look at what you're actually drawing. So moving back to the body, I'm going to keep layering my darker blue here to give the wings more depth. And now I'm going to bring in my darkest blue. This darkest layer is going to give us that extra bit of volume. I'm not going to cover everything with it. I only want it in the areas that naturally need to be darker, like in the folds and these parts. And once I'm happy with the darkest blue, I can finally bring in a little bit of black. Now we are going to add some black. Again, very little, not a lot of it, just to darken our blue shade a little bit. I'm using black mainly for the deepest shadows and the areas where I want the most contrast. You'll notice that blacks look much nicer when it has that blue underneath it instead of just sitting directly on the paper. Like this. Little bit near the eyes. Once you start adding details, you just can't stop. Now let's use the same idea for the beak. I'm going to start with my darker color and gradually build it up, keeping some areas lighter. Dark to light shading over here. I'm not pressing my black color pencil, just gradually building up the shade. Because if you press it, and especially if you press it with black, it is going to look really ugly. Once again, I'm going to leave out those extra tiny highlights. You don't always have to color every single part of your drawing. Sometimes leaving the paper white is actually what makes it more beautiful. So keep those little white areas wherever you see the light hitting the beak. Dark to light shading. You'll notice that I've done dark near the edges, and as I've moved inside, I've made it lighter. So do you see how important it is to learn dark to light shading and why you have to practice it every day to become a better artist with color pencils? You can even use a bit of grey to blend your black shade to make it softer. Now we can use the same black for the claws. The claws are quite dark, so black works well here, but I still want to avoid making them look like flat black shape. A little variation in pressure can make them look much more natural. So in some part it needs to be lighter and in some part it needs to be darker. Now we are almost at the final stage. So you can take your lightest blue again and look around the drawing for any white spaces that are distracting you. And this is also where we can soften some of the edges. If you clearly see a hard outline around the bird, go back with your light blue and add a few soft feather strokes over it. Now, as we are moving towards the end of our drawing, I want to remind you all to start slowly. Don't be afraid to experiment with the pencils that you already have. Try mixing your blues with other colors and practice dark to light shading. I hope you enjoyed drawing blue with me, and I'll see you in the next one.